Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome out to the Infusionsoft Virtual Academy. My name is Scott Richens, and I'm excited to be back with you guys today after a week off of no webinars while we were doing Infusionsoft University here on site. The first thing that I like to do is make sure that you guys can see my screen and that I'm coming through loud and clear here. So if you can give me some feedback there, go ahead and use the questions section that we're going to use throughout this session to interact together. It's there within GoToMeeting, right-hand side of the screen. It says questions. Go ahead and give me a shout out. Let me know where you're coming to us from. I like to get an idea of where we got people joining us from. So Budapest, again, we got somebody back from Budapest, Ocean City, Maryland, Portland, Oregon, Malibu, California, Oceanside, California, Atlanta, England, all over the place. Nay, are you coming to us from Glendale, Arizona? That means you're just across the way. That or Glendale. All right, Glendale, Arizona here. So, and the Philippines. So we have got the globe covered here. Also up in Vancouver, British Columbia. I'm actually looking at scheduling a vacation up there this summer. So I'd love to come up to that part of the world. So. Thank you, Vaughn, coming at us from the North Pole. So we're going to go ahead and get started here today. Today's session, we are covering the drag and drop builder. Looks like all systems are go. So I'm going to flip on my presentation here real quick as we're getting started. Today's session is on using the drag and drop builder. Now, within Infusionsoft, we have this framework that we can use to create all of our landing pages and web forms and emails and otherwise, and that's the drag and drop builder. So as a foundational class, before we get into some of the other aspects where I'll teach you some of the marketing parts or the campaign builder, I like to teach the drag and drop builder so that you understand that tool that you can use to create all of your marketing collateral. So that's what we're going to be covering today. It's going to take us about 45 minutes as we go through this one. I also like to allow for some questions there towards the end. I invite you to do this. Go ahead and ask questions as we go. If it's something that I can speak to at that time, as we're going through the presentation, then I will do so. Otherwise, I do a Q&A portion here at the end, and I will go through all of the different questions that have been asked. So if I haven't answered your question yet, go ahead and just hang tight. Know that I have received it. Sometimes I'm just not able to answer those as we go to try and help the flow of things during these particular sessions. I know sometimes we get some particular questions that are unique to each individual. And so usually I'll hold the really unique questions there towards the end. A couple other things here. Again, my name's Scott Richens. If you want to connect with me on Twitter, you can do so. My Twitter handle is Scott Richens. I also post everything related to the Infusionsoft Virtual Academy using the hashtag ISVA. So hashtag ISVA for everything about the Infusionsoft Virtual Academy. Updates, recordings, or otherwise. Which brings me to my last point here. This session is being recorded. If you do have some questions regarding what we've covered today, or perhaps you want to recap on it, as long as everything goes correctly with the GoToMeeting recording, which happens about 95% of the time, it works properly. As long as that's the case, I will have this posted up to Twitter. I'll announce that there via Twitter tomorrow morning, or even perhaps this afternoon if it converts quickly enough. So that's really what we're covering here today. A couple things that I want to point out before we get started. Number one, if you're one of our clients over there in Europe or London and you want to join us for our Infusionsoft University, I invite you to do so. You can go to infusionsoft.com/UK University. That's our live training event. We just held one here last week with 100 clients here on site. Had a great time there. We are getting close to our max capacity over there in London. It will be less than 100 people, and I'll probably be making that call here later this week. So if you're interested in attending that event, I would recommend that you get signed up on that one quickly here before we shut down registration. The other thing that I want to point out and make sure that you're aware of is our Mastermind webinar series. Our Mastermind webinars are the next step in your learning here with Infusionsoft. Infusionsoft Virtual Academy is really focused on the foundational aspects of Infusionsoft, but when you want to start taking that to the next level, Mastermind webinars are where you want to be. Those are every Thursday morning at noon Pacific time, noon Eastern time, 9 a.m. Pacific time, and you can sign up for those at help.infusionsoft.com/mastermind. The Mastermind webinars are free. The Infusionsoft University is our live paid event. So that's the difference there between those two. Now, Today, what we're focusing on, as I mentioned, is the drag and drop builder. We're going to be diving into the builder. I'm going to really set it up and tee it up by using an email. Okay, so while it can be used for emails, landing pages, web forms, and thank you pages, today we're really going to focus on emails because everybody's got to use emails. Everybody's going to be sending out emails. So that's going to be our focus here today within which I teach it to you. I do another session called Building Better Landing Pages and Web Forms, where I will take you deeper into using the drag and drop builder for creating landing pages and web forms, but it will all build upon what I teach here in this particular session. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump into Infusionsoft, and I invite you to do the same. Go ahead and log into Infusionsoft. There are going to be times here today that I'm going to invite you to go ahead and sign up, or sorry, not sign up. Mind skipped on me there. Where I'm going to invite you to make some progress there within your business. I want you to follow along as we go, and actually I'll give you time to set up your first email if you've got something ready to go there. So go ahead and log into Infusionsoft. And now what we're going to do is the area that I'm going to operate within is called the Branding Center. This is a brand new part of the software that we released with this last release of Infusionsoft. And it's over here underneath Admin Branding Center. Now within the Branding Center, this is where you're able to control all of the default templates that you'll use throughout the system. It's also where you can upload your logos and otherwise. But within the default templates portion, what it includes is your different types of emails that you'll use within the campaign builder, broadcast emails for newsletters and otherwise, single emails for one-off emails that you might write to clients from within Infusionsoft and others. You can also create your default web forms for within the campaign and legacy forms, landing pages, letters, and otherwise. So there's a number of different options within here. And this is where you can come to create all of your default templates. You create it once here, and then every time you, for example, add a new email within your campaign builder, it starts from this particular spot. Every time you go to send a newsletter or broadcast, it will start from here. So this is the first place that I recommend you come to begin designing all of your emails, all of your marketing collateral. You can manage all of it from here. And as I mentioned, today we're going to focus on using the drag and drop builder to create an email. I'm going to invite you to create your campaign email here if you've not already done so. If you have, you may want to choose one of these other ones. When we choose one to edit, we simply click the edit button here, and it will take us into our drag and drop builder. Now, if you've been with me in the past, you may not have had the new updated builder that we have within here, the new framework that we have. Everybody should have received our new release at this point. So you should be seeing the same thing on your screen that I have here. So let's go ahead and go through this. Really, let me give you a quick breakdown here of what we've got. This part up top is unique to the email. Okay, you do not have the from, the to, and the subject information when you're creating a landing page or a web form or a thank you page. Those have different options. These ones are pretty straightforward here, from, to, and subject. And if you have specific questions on those, I would invite you to check out the session that I'm teaching tomorrow morning on creating email templates, where I'll go into that information more in detail. Really what I want to focus on is what we have down here below. Format, insert, snippets, and our portion down here below. Now, when I describe using the drag and drop builder, I always describe it as Legos, because we get to design our emails and otherwise simply using these blocks of content that we can click and we can begin to rearrange and move around as we need to. And what we're able to do within those is choose from our different types of blocks, our different types of content here. And that's underneath the snippets tab. Now here within snippets, you'll see a number of different things: article, paragraph, title, spotlight, image, and file. Those are some of the most commonly used ones. And so I want to take you through what each of those blocks begin to enable you to do. So notice right down here what we've got is we've got this large section of content here. This is actually the article snippet. This is what we start you with each time you open up an email. Also, you'll use it many times within your landing pages. Now, notice how this one is built out. It's got a title section here. It's got an author line. And then down below here, it has a paragraph that you're able to put your information in. It's pre-formatted. You can control all the formatting. I'll show you how we control the color formatting here a little bit later on in this particular session. But this one is great when you have an article that you're going to preview or reference within here. You may not write the whole article. You may read more and kick people over to your blog or otherwise. But that's what the article snippet is great for. I typically use the article snippets when I'm creating a newsletter. Now, here's what's unique about the article snippet. What it is it's just a combination of a couple other blocks. So when I say it's like Legos, it's just a combination to make a bigger block of content. Really what it includes is just a paragraph. Notice this paragraph snippet is the same as what we have down here on the bottom portion, and a title. So it combines a title and a paragraph with the addition of this author line right here. So that's what's unique to the article snippet. But then you have a title and a paragraph. And what makes the decision as far as how you might build your content out is how you want to be able to move it. The nice thing about an article is I can move the entire section here together and replace it where I need it to go. Whereas the title and the paragraph down below, I can only move one at a time. They don't move together. They're like individual blocks. So that's our article, paragraph, and title options that we have. Many times when I'm putting together a particular email, I will actually choose to remove the article snippet here. And you can delete any snippets that you no longer need by hitting the trash can. Notice that. I can close the trash can out here, and that removes the different content. I can then pull my paragraph back in. Now, something that I often see as people are beginning with this is they'll say, Scott, but mine doesn't have the space here to the left. It's butted right up against the left-hand side. And the difference there is when you place something within the header portion, that's designed to go all the way from left to right. But if you place it down in the main content portion, look at the difference here. This is the header. See how it shows this preview? It's got the dotted lines. That tells me it's dropping it in the header. Whereas if I come down a little bit further, it puts it in the main content portion, which has this white space or padding to the left and to the right. Gives it a little bit more breathing room. Okay. Now, what you're able to do here, let me zoom in just a little bit. What you're able to do here is also pull in some additional content. So that's our article, paragraph, and title snippets. The spotlight snippet is great when you want to have a title and a paragraph and also an image to the left-hand side. And so that wraps three different blocks together. It's the title, the snippet, or the title, the paragraph, and the image snippet. It puts those all in place. Now, anytime you have an image somewhere within one of these snippets, all you have to do is double-click the image. And when you double-click that image, you can either choose from an image that you've previously uploaded, or you can upload a brand new image. And you have that choice here. So, for example, I could go here and choose a report image. What I recommend you always do within your emails is modify what's called the alternate text. Many times when you receive an email, it will not display images. When you send your emails out to your customers, most email clients will not display the images by default. Instead, what it will display is your alternate text. So I recommend that you always modify your alternate text. So this could be our college versus retirement report image. And now, until the picture shows in their email client, what they'll see instead is this verbiage here. insert and update. And you'll notice there's the image. I can even shrink that image down if I want to, right here, right in place, or pull it larger, either way, or revert to the original size. So when we're working here with images, we get this new option right here where we can center things, and it just centers it here within this space on the left-hand side. Shrink step by step, make it larger, or just make it the original size. So that's where let me go back to snippets. That's where the spotlight snippet comes in very handy, is when you want to have an image to the left of your title and your paragraph option. Let's move on to the next portion that we have here. The next snippet is the image snippet. When I pull in the image snippet here, there's a difference between this image snippet and the image here within the spotlight. And the difference is this. This image is what's called a block image. What that means is I cannot wrap text around an image that I insert here utilizing this image snippet. So if I double click this icon, which is what I can do every time I want to replace a picture, I just double click on the image itself, and then I can modify the picture. So now if I were to place that same picture within here, I could center it or left or right, justify it. Again, I would want to modify my alternate text, which I'll skip here to save us a little bit of time. I can place that image within here, but what I cannot do is I cannot type any verbiage here to the left or the right of the picture. So it's called a block image. It blocks out this whole section here to where it's just featuring this image in particular. Now, let's move on to the next one. File. File allows me to add a file attachment. So if I have a file that I wanted somebody to download, I could drop that within here. And again, I could either choose a file that I've already uploaded, or I could add a new file. Now, the way this behaves is Infusionsoft will actually host this file for you. We place it on our servers, so it reduces the size of the email that's being sent to your customers. But then we simply insert something like this. Give it a moment here. We insert something like this, so when they click on that, link, it will then initiate the download of the file for them. We have a few other options here as we go. We've got the YouTube option. What you're able to do with this YouTube option is it asks you for a YouTube video ID. Now, what this does is it will actually, in an email and a landing page, it actually performs differently. Emails cannot play videos within the email themselves. That's something that email clients, for the most part, don't support yet. I think Gmail supports YouTube videos. It will play YouTube videos from within the email, but most other ones will not play videos in the email. So here's what happens when we place a YouTube video within an email. Let me go here, and I'm going to search by Infusionsoft. Let's go right here. This looks like a video that we posted up recently. Here we go. So I could pull this particular video right here. And here's what happens. It's asking us for the YouTube video ID. And we can grab that right here from within the URL. So it's everything after V equals. It's usually going to be this short code. Sometimes an easier place to pull it from is here where it says share. You can just pull this link right here. We want everything after the slash. So if I copy that and I paste it right within here, again, I want to take out everything before the slash. Notice what it does. It goes over to YouTube and it pulls in the video thumbnail for me. And what it will actually do is it will make that a clickable link that will then take them directly to YouTube so they can watch that video. Okay, so that's what the YouTube snippet enables you to do. Now, there's a couple other snippets here that we have available as we're building our emails. This one here is social. With social, what this enables to do is leverage a couple different things. One, we can leverage social sharing. And with social sharing, what that enables our email recipients to do, the people who you are sending this email to, they're already on your list. It enables them to share it with their friends. They can either like it on Facebook, tweet it out on Twitter, or plus one it on Google+. And what that enables you to do is now reach the networks of those that are already on your list. If you encourage your email recipients to share it, now what it's doing is it's sharing out to their friends, people that likely are not already on your list, and it extends your reach. The follow options helps you with social connecting. It helps you take those people that are already your email recipients, that are already on your email list, and connect with you on Facebook, Twitter, or following your blog. What you're able to do is check each of these and turn them on. And if you have used the connecting tools to Facebook and Twitter that you have underneath your profile, then you'll be able to simply select those from here, from the dropdown. I've already connected Infusionsoft to my Facebook and my Twitter accounts. One thing that often gets asked here is, this connects to your Facebook personal account. Many people say, well, Scott, I want it to instead connect to my business account. I don't want them to come friend my personal account. I want them to follow or like my business page, and that's fantastic. What you can do there is click Other, and then from within Facebook, let me go to Facebook here, and if I go to /Infusionsoft, whoops, we have a vanity URL here. And so what we're able to do is simply copy everything here after facebook.com. You may not have a vanity URL. You may have something else there, but it's really everything after facebook.com is all you have to copy. And once I copy that, I can simply paste it right here. And that takes care of it. So basically what that will do is it will add facebook.com to the front, and then just Infusionsoft here. And when people click on this Facebook button, it will redirect them to your Facebook fan page or business page. Now, what you can also do here with Twitter is simply type, let me click Other here. If I wanted to send you to my Infusionsoft handle, we could do that. And for your blog, you could just type in the URL for your blog. So there you go. The last options down here are simply display options, layout and alignment. So layout here, horizontal, has them all go side by side. If I'm putting this in a sidebar, I might want to stack them or otherwise, which is why we give you some of these other options right within here. Now notice what I did there to edit that. You don't have to click the little wrench right here. You can really just click anywhere within the snippet, and it will then pop that up so you can begin to edit the information. That's a little pro tip there. Sometimes I hit this on accident, or I hit the trash can. I don't like doing that. I can just click anywhere within this, and it will pop up that edit screen there for me. One question that I often get around here is LinkedIn. Can we add LinkedIn? Right now, LinkedIn is not a part of the our social media tools at this point. Although I do have some tips there for LinkedIn that might be helpful for you. So Susan, if you're interested in that, send me a message on Twitter if you can, and I will post out a link to a download file that I created for some folks. And it includes at the very end a tip on how to have people tweet information out or post information to LinkedIn for you as well, so that you can then extend your reach. So that's our social option that enables you to really take your emails and turn them into more of a lead generation tool for you. If you're putting in great content in your emails, you can encourage people to share that. And as they share that, you're now extending your reach to new audiences. Now, the next few that we have here really help us with our design and layout of things. Let me shrink this down just a little bit. I zoomed in my screen here, and that was causing me just a little bit of problems. There we go. The signature. You can customize your signature in your personal profile within Infusionsoft. I recommend that you have all of your users customize their signatures. And what happens within here is you can now have this email pull your signature into the email. That, or you can make it variable. What's nice within your emails is you can make each email look like it comes from their each contact's point of contact within the company, each of your prospects' points of contact. So like their sales rep, you can assign a sales rep as an owner on their contact record, and you can now have automated messages that go out that appear to come from their contact's owner. So that's a very handy tool. I will teach you more about that in the creating email templates session that I'm doing tomorrow morning. But for now, I can go ahead and specify that to be a particular person. So that's our signature option. And then there's just a few others here: spacer, divider, and HTML. So you'll notice here that some of these things are really close. There's not a lot of space between them. That's where the spacer option comes into play. I can take this spacer and just drop it where I want it to be. Let me do that again. I can take this spacer and drop it there, and it asks me how large of a space do I want to create. So I can simply increase the space as desired here, and that will then give me some spacing, some breathing room between some of my different elements here. If I wanted to put a space within there, great. Space within here, great. Okay, I can now add some breathing room to my page, add some white space. Okay, so that's where our spacer comes in, gives you a little bit of breathing room between things. What I also like to use is this divider. So many of you may notice that in my own emails that I send out, let me pull that one up real quick. For example, this morning, the email that I sent out to you guys, I have dividers within here as well. And those help frame up each section that I have and group each section. So what that's then doing, if I pull in that divider is then giving me a visual separation between different articles perhaps. If I had, let me go right here and pull in an article and a second article. That doesn't really look pleasant there. So what I would do instead is drop in a divider and maybe even a spacer on top and a spacer on bottom. So then you get a little bit of padding on either side of that. Add some white space there to your design. So that's our spacer and divider. Really, those just help you with your visual layout. And then we've got a couple other options over here. HTML is really a Swiss Army knife. For those of you that know code, you may want to utilize this one. If you don't know HTML code, you probably don't need to worry about this one. Basically, what it allows you to do is just drop in direct HTML code. So if anything that I've shown you here does not do what you need it to do, then this is what you're able to utilize. Okay, you're able to come right in here and actually code something here from scratch using HTML code. And then it will, whoops, I didn't put anything within there. So it will then allow you to display direct HTML code. Again, I'm not going to go in depth on that. If you think you need to use it, you probably know who you are. The last couple options that we have here are the banner and the logo. Now you'll notice the banner is grayed out here. The reason it's grayed out is you can only use the banner once. And we already have a banner in place up here. And if you want to change out the banner, you can do that by simply double-clicking it, just like any other image like I've shown you here earlier. Now, one of the things that I often get asked here is, Scott, what's the size of this picture? Any image that you have here within Infusionsoft, you can simply double-click it, and it will tell you the size right here. Okay, so this is 100 pixels tall by 600 pixels wide. So if you want to create your own banner to replace this, you could just make it 100 pixels tall by 600 wide, and it would swap out what you have here directly. If you wanted to make it taller, you can do that as well. But I would make sure that your 600 pixels wide, you maintain that, or you modify your layout. We'll get more into layout here in a moment, but the reason we do a 600 pixel wide image here is because our email is 600 pixels wide. So again, if I wanted to swap this one out, I simply double click, and then I can go choose anything that I may have here already, like my Virtual Academy one, or click to upload a new image. If I change my alternate text, Virtual Academy banner, I can then say insert and update, and I'm beginning to customize this here. So that's a quick rundown of all of our different snippets. The last one, I guess, is the logo. And the logo snippet is controlled by whichever logo that you have defined in your branding center. The nice thing about this logo snippet is if you do modify your logo or swap something out there, you can simply swap it out in the branding center and it will change across all of your different emails within which you use that. So it's a pretty handy tool to utilize. So that takes us through all of our different snippets. We have some other things that we can utilize within here, but I want to take a quick look at some of the questions that have been coming through here, see if there's anything related to snippets. I saw one here. Is there any way to put an image on the right side with text to the left of the image? Yeah, there is a way to do that. It's just not quite as evident. In any paragraph that you have, what you can do is choose where you want that picture to appear. So place your cursor in place, and then you can say insert an image. And then you can place an image in there. Okay. Text relative to image, I want my text on the left-hand side, and then I can insert and update that. So now that appears here to the right, or to the right-hand side with the text to the left. Let's see. Is it Janine? Janine, I see your question here. Actually, that was one question that you had just asked. Janine also asked about having different color background behind specific paragraph snippets. Janine, that's not something that you really have control over on a paragraph by paragraph basis in this particular case. So we may have to look at something else there. I think you had also sent me an email about that one, Janine. I hadn't gotten back to you quite yet. But let me show you what we can do here as we go, and I'll get into some more of the style options for some controlling colors and such. So let's see. We've got this option here. Let's go back to our format options. Now, I've taken you through the snippets. I always start with snippets because getting your content in place is often one of the first things that people are doing, or at least laying out their content. Here we're talking about our branding center. And so what I would begin to do is put your default content in place. If I know that I'm going to have an article with a picture, fantastic. I wouldn't worry about placing in specific article text here. I would just leave this lorem ipsum filler text, okay, and begin to design a default email. For example, the one that I might do, let me delete some of these things as I've pulled in a number of them to demonstrate to you what you might create. But let me actually begin to create something specific here. Oh, somebody had asked here about the attachment, the file attachment as well. Celeste said, with the file snippet, can it cause the email to be marked as spam the way attaching a file traditionally sometimes can? Celeste, this actually is not attached like a traditional attachment. It really is just a hyperlink that takes them to a download link. So you should be avoiding anything that would trigger that as spam. Typically, it's just a link. So let me delete a few of these. Oops, excuse me there. So if I were going through and creating my first email, like my welcome email or my default template here that we're talking about, since we're in the branding center, I would likely pull in just a paragraph here. Again, it depends on which particular email that you're creating. This one here that I'm working on is my campaign email. So this is one that'll typically be used for my autoresponders or automatic emails that I'm sending out to my prospects. So one of the things that I like to do within there, if I'm working on, like I said, if I'm working on just a template, one of the things that I like to do is save me some time, set up some things that will save me some time. So for example, I will usually use some sort of a greeting at the beginning of the email here. So I'll say, hi, and check this out. What we're able to do is insert merge fields. Merge fields are extremely powerful. This is what you can use to now begin personalizing email messages that are sent out. So when I send you an email, for example, this morning I send one out. This was pulling in my information here. So it says, "Hi, Scott." I don't go through and personalize that message for each one of you. No, the system does it. And the way the system begins to personalize that information is through using these merge fields. So let me show you again how this works. We open that by going to this Insert tab and clicking Merge. It pulls up the merge fields. Now, within these merge fields, we have access to essentially all of the different fields contained on a contact record. Their most common fields: first name, last name, email, title, and company. We can go to any custom fields that you've created that you may need to merge information from. We can go to any additional fields. These are like secondary email addresses, phone numbers, fax numbers, or otherwise. And then we also have address information. So there's a lot of information that we can begin to pull into these emails. And how you do it is you simply place your cursor where you want that information to appear. You click most common, in this case, because I want the first name. And so I click on first name, and it inserts this goofy code here. It says tilde, contact.firstname, tilde. And basically what that tells Infusionsoft is when this email gets sent out, replace this portion with whatever the value is in that person's first name on their contact record. So if it were sent to me, it would say Scott. If it were sent to Susan here, it would say Susan. If it's sent to Chris, it would say Chris. So it would replace this section right in here and put whoever the recipient's first name is. And so that's what you're able to do with any of these different values, any of these different field values. So that's our merge fields. There's a few other things that we're able to do that becomes very handy. I'm going to click on format. Now, what you can do is you can begin to customize the format here, which has to do with your headings, pre-headings, and all of that. Typically, if I want something that's going to be a heading, I just pull in my title snippet instead of using the paragraph option here. You may choose to use that. I don't use it as often as I might use defining my font and font family, or defining my font size. Whoops, let me undo that there, which points out our undo and redo buttons up there. Those are very handy. So you can define your font family and font size. What you can also do is insert bulleted lists and numbered lists. So those become helpful if you're needing to do that. Turn those on and off. You can use block text for block quotes and otherwise. Insert and tab in, and then you can use your standard font options down here. Now, one of the things that I recommend is that you consider not using this option right here to define your text color, but instead use an option that I'm going to show you in a moment with style. Okay, so I recommend, and for the most part, I never use this font option here, or this font color option here. I'll use and control my font colors from within my style portion. So I'll show that to you here in just a moment. Now, the last thing that I want to point out, the last two things actually, is this link option and paste as text. Link, what this enables you to do is actually create a link very easily. So if I wanted to say, check out our new product offer, and I wanted to send you to a particular page, all I have to do is highlight this and click link. And what I can now do is send you to a specific web address or email address, whatever my need might be. If I want to send you to a web address, then I could send you to the particular landing page that I wanted you to go to. And it automatically turns that into a clickable link. Okay, so that's how you can handle a link. If you need to edit the link, you can simply double click on the link. Okay, as we're talking about links, one of the other things that I like to point out here is the fact that when you're doing an image, you can also turn any link into an image. So notice when I've clicked this, it gives me a new snippet image option, and I can choose to link an image as well, so people can click the link or click the image, and it will then take them to that same location that you define. Now, I'm going to go ahead and close that one out. So that takes us through all of our font formatting options here. Now what I want to start getting into is, this last one here was paste as text off or on. Okay, what this is controlling is if I were creating something in Microsoft Word, let me open a new document here. What I may want to have happen is have some of my information from Microsoft Word pulled across. I may want to preserve some of my Word formatting. So if I had some different formatting, kind of like this, in Microsoft Word that I wanted to copy across, I could copy this information, copy, and come over to Infusionsoft. Now, notice this. When I say paste as text off, what that's going to enable me to do is paste this information and preserve the formatting. So when I paste it, notice how it preserved the formatting here. It has bold here, it has italics here, it has underline here, it has my bullet points here. Okay, so that's what I'm able to do with paste as text off. Now notice if I undo that information, if instead I turn paste as text on, what it does is when that's on, it will strip out all formatting. So if I paste now, it strips out all of that formatting. So now I can create the formatting here within Infusionsoft. So that's what that button there does for you. If you want to preserve the formatting that you created in Microsoft Word, you simply leave paste as text off so that it doesn't paste it as text. Instead, it allows you to paste in formatted text rather than plain text. Now, the last thing that I want to get into is our layout and style options. What layout enables us to do, let me delete this information here. What layout enables us to do is control what our layout is of the page. Do we have a pre-header, this information up top, this area up top where we can put some verbiage? Do we have a header on, which is where this image appears? Do we have a footer on, which is down below here? Again, we can turn all of that stuff off and on if we want to. Move this information back down in there. Okay, so that's what we're able to do with these particular options. Sidebar now gives me the ability to place snippets and have a column approach. So I've got my main content here, and then I can have a sidebar column that I can then increase the size on if I want to. Okay, and decrease the size. Email alignment, this comes in handy sometimes. I teach more about this one in my creating email template session, but you can left justify it or center it as normal here. So those are your two options. Social sharing layout is kind of interesting. Sometimes this is tough for people to grasp, but it's extremely helpful. If you're using the social option that I mentioned here earlier, and you're encouraging your users to share it, wouldn't it be helpful if they share it to their friends and those friends then click through and see the information, but you could also have them sign up to then be on your list? Leverage that sharing. So anytime you put together great content in an email, especially your newsletters and such that you may have people share and encourage to share, what you can do with this social sharing layout is turn on a form. And then that form, you can choose something that you've already created. You can choose a form, a web form that you've created elsewhere in Infusionsoft. And what it will then do, let's see if I chose a good form here. Nope, let me choose a different form. Let me try this one here. Nah, those are, I'm pulling some bad forms there. I need to go clean up my form list. Let's try this one. What it will do is it will place on that page here on the right-hand side, it will paste the web form within there only for those people that are viewing it because of a social share. So it's a great way to take those people that we know aren't on your list and encourage them to sign up. I'll need to check that out. I'll need to find a form there that displays properly. But right now I'm not pulling a live form apparently. But that's what that option does there. That one's really, really helpful. And the last portion that I want to get into here is our style. Okay, now where the style comes into play is controlling the look, the colors that we have here of your email. I really encourage you to create one that's going to match your brand and pull in that color of your brand and perhaps your website. So for example, I've already created one in here that is my Infusionsoft Virtual Academy style. And I can simply click that and apply those colors here. Okay, you can create multiple styles and notice how everything now begins to change and modify when I choose those styles. Let me show you what's going on there. You're able to go through and choose a color style by clicking edit and then go in and modify that information. So we give you some default colors here already that you can choose, or you can begin to modify those colors using the rainbow options up here, the fine tune options over here to the right, or you can even use this option right here, this little eyedropper. You can come choose a particular color so that you can begin to match your branding. And then say OK. If you know your hex codes already, you can simply type those in right here up on the background portion. Okay, so we've got that. This controls your background, your body. This is the background portion that you can control. Janine, you were asking about being able to assign a color to the background. You can assign a color here to the background of the entire body, but that's about as much control as you have there. It will be here for the entire main content portion. It's not just for a particular snippet. So you can assign that color there. Again, so your body is this main portion over here. Your link is any link that you may have within your email. So that defines the color of all links that you have there in your main portion. Your text color, your text color there, pre-header link, pre-header text. You can go through and specify each of those individually. What I like to do sometimes is choose my image that has my colors in it and click this option down below that says guess from image. And what that does is it goes through and it tries to pull out some of those colors to get you close. And you can just keep clicking it until you get to one that looks good to you, and then go in and fine tune it. So maybe I say, hey, you know what? I like that blue back there, but I'm going to get rid of some of these colors within here. I don't quite like how those fit. So I can go modify my header. And just a little tip here. If you just want white, you can type in 6 Fs. F is in Frank. And that will make it white. Maybe my body portion, I don't want that to be green. I want that to be white as well. There we go. So then I'm pretty close. I can simply choose to save my style, and then I have that style ready to go for the future. And I can simply choose it just like I do any of these other ones. So that's really the crux of what I wanted to go through here when we're talking about using the drag and drop builder. We've gone through how to use the snippets, the different types of snippets that we can use to go in and create an email. We've talked about the format, how we can begin to customize the format of our text and otherwise, how we can paste in some information. Then we talked about how to use our layout options here. Let me turn off my sidebar. We talked about how to use our layout options and our style options to assign that look and feel of our emails as we go. And this gets us to a good spot where we can have a template ready to go that then I can just simply edit and update. So here's what I want to do. I want to shift over real quick and start going through some of the questions that y'all might have So let me go ahead and do this. I'm going to turn on a quick poll here. I like to get some feedback here real quick from you guys. And keep in mind, we will go through a Q&A here to answer any of the questions that I haven't answered quite yet. But go ahead and give me some feedback here on how you think this session went. And I'll leave that up for a little while here while I am going through and taking a look at some of the questions that have been coming through. All right. I'll leave that up there for about 5 more seconds. If you haven't given me your feedback there yet, please go ahead and do so. I'll leave that up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Close the poll there. And again, thank you very much for your feedback. All right. Now, let's go through the questions. Now, Janine, I know Janine had a question here that she had asked, and just circling back around to this one, I spoke to it briefly. But the question was, is it possible to have a different color background behind specific paragraph snippets with white text for contrast? So, for example, if she's got a paragraph snippet here, what she's wanting to do is be able to have this offset with a specific color in the background. Janine, by default, I'm not sure of a way to do that. What I have seen some people do is accomplish that through the HTML option, but I don't think I've seen anybody accomplish that through the basic drag and drop built-in features that we have here. So, for example, I've seen some people pull in this HTML option and simply code that part in. Now, I say simply, those that are that would be doing the coding that know the HTML code, I understand that that's a pretty simple thing to create within there, and you would actually just write the entire content portion there in HTML code, as opposed to using, for example, a paragraph snippet. But Janine, that's what I believe the option is there. Does that help out there, Janine, on that particular question? Okay, awesome. And I noticed you had another one there. Is there a way to make the sidebar start further down the page, or does it have to go top to bottom beneath the banner? Yes, when you are working with the sidebar there, Janine, it does go all the way from top to bottom. So if I include a sidebar, then it does include that sidebar all the way in the main content. There is one thing that I've seen people do there, Janine, if they just need that sidebar along the top portion, but then they shift to a single column down towards the bottom. What I have seen some people do is leverage this footer portion down here. This is a little bit of a, I don't want to call it a hack, but it's just kind of working with what we've got here. In the style portion, what you could do is edit that footer so that it's white as well. And then they've placed another paragraph snippet down there. So that gets you to where you can have a sidebar towards the top and then a full paragraph down towards the bottom. But there's not a way to go back and forth between those. What I then do to recover my footer and to get a footer back in place is to simply put in a spacer and then a divider to then reestablish a footer. So maybe that gives you a couple different options there, Janine. Let's see. What else do we have? Susan, I think Susan had the same question there. Susan, if you have any further questions, let me know. Josh asked about Foursquare. Is Foursquare the same way? Josh, Foursquare really doesn't come up a lot for us. There may be some options that Foursquare provides you with. One of the things that I was pointing out there was what I've got for LinkedIn. I've got some code for LinkedIn that allows you to turn a link into turn something into a link that will automatically post out to LinkedIn, somebody's LinkedIn profile. And so I can post that out. I'll post that information out on Twitter here a little bit later. John asked also here on the HTML code, how complete does the code need to be? Does it have to be full page code? John, are you talking about all your are you talking about all the header information, the header tags and all that? Yeah, you do not need to include that in there, John. Just use your direct HTML. Perfect. Okay. Next question here. I think I covered the one putting the image to the right side of the text. Celeste asked a great question here. She said, what happens if we insert a merge field and we don't have that information for the recipients? For example, we insert a merge field with their last name, but we don't have their last name in the contact information. Great question. Let me show you that here real quick. Whoops. Let me close out of this and go back to the branding center. Ooh, let me reset my style here. There we go. Come on, back to all styles. There we are. Save, back to branding center. All right, now where you control that information there, Celeste, is going to be underneath marketing settings. And again, the question here is, what happens if we insert a merge field and we don't have that information for somebody? Does it just leave it blank, hi, space, comma, if we don't have their first name? You can configure that information here underneath template defaults. So again, we're underneath marketing settings, and then we go to template defaults. And what you're able to specify here is, number one, who's your default user? And then number two, what is your default contact information or credit card information here? So if I click on contacts, I can go to this contact fields most common, show fields, and I can specify what I want that default information to be. So if I don't have a name for them, I want it to say friend. If I don't have a last name for that, I want it to say something else. So that's where you're able to specify that information. Marketing settings, template defaults, contact. So let me go back here to the branding center. While we're here, John, you're asking, can we rename the templates? Are you talking about these templates right here, campaign email, broadcast email? Is that what you're asking? Okay. The answer is no, you can't rename these templates. And the reason being is the name is specific to where it's going to be used. And so right here it says campaign email. These are the emails that will be, this email template is the one that will be used by default in your campaigns. This is the email that will be used by default when you're sending out a broadcast. This is the email that will be used by default when you're sending out a single email. So changing those there would really just confuse the matter. Stephanie asked, any way to increase the line space within the text to double space? Stephanie, good question there. I've actually surprisingly never been asked that one. I don't know that there is format here. I don't think there is within this particular portion. So if I said paragraph, yeah, there's not a way to increase it to double spacing other than just hitting enter at the end of each of your lines, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense there. Really, when it comes to double spacing within your emails, my understanding is that just makes it a little bit harder to read. Using short paragraphs is highly encouraged, but double spacing within your emails becomes difficult. Are you working on letters there, Stephanie? That would make more sense on a letter using the drag and drop builder. And I don't know of a way to do that there within the letters. Let's see. Amy said, what is the difference with the tab for plain text versus HTML? Great question here. This is specific to emails. You won't see this on web forms or landing pages or otherwise. And this is getting into the way that the emails are delivered. What you're able to do is create an HTML version of the email as well as a plain text version. Plain text being strip out all the fun stuff here from that email we were just creating. There's no colors. There's no colors, there's no links, there's no pictures, there's no bolding, italics, anything like that. Plain text is really just that. It's just plain text. So you're able to create both versions here using this option. What if you just want to send it in plain text? Amy, I don't believe that there's an option here within this builder to just set it as plain text only. There's somewhere else where I could show you where to do that, but within here, there's not an option to do plain text only. I actually, in my creating email template session tomorrow, I teach how to build an HTML email that looks more like plain text. That way you still have the advantages of tracking with an HTML email, but it looks clean and simple and like you would with a plain text email. John, you were asking there. This was related to the paste as text on or off. John was saying, so we no longer have to remove the formatting prior to pasting it in the email. Is that correct? And yes, that is correct. When you're copying it from Microsoft Word is what that was designed for. I think there may be some other things that still have a couple of hiccups. So if you're copying from Microsoft Word, then yes, you can leave this as paste as text off and then directly copy from Word. If you're copying from some other sources, I would still turn that on and paste it so that it strips out the formatting as you're pasting that within Infusionsoft. Let's see. Celeste said, when a broadcast is shared, does it show the recipient's name? I believe it shows the person who shared it. I believe it shows their name there, Celeste. I haven't shared that one recently, but my understanding is that's what it does. Based on my share that I made here today, it went ahead and inserted my name there. But it does remove, like the links right here, the unsubscribe, it makes that unsubscribe link not work. Let's see. Sunny said, did you build this in the branding center? If yes, how do you get it to show in templates as mine doesn't? Sunny, this actually does not end up showing up in the templates portion. What Sunny's asking about here is here underneath marketing templates. Sunny, these actually don't appear within the templates portion. They only appear here within the branding center. So if you did need to copy that one, I've not tried to save one from here to somewhere else. I'd have to take a look at that one there, Sunny. Still going through some of the questions here. Got a few more. John said, can I create my own named templates? For example, broadcast. He broadcasts a few different things. Yeah, John, where you're going to be when you're working with your email templates is going to be over here underneath the templates portion. I get more in depth on that one tomorrow in my creating email template session. I'll teach you how to create 3 different ones in here and walk you through creating 3 basic email templates that I like to use. But then I'll also teach you how you can create email templates here within the template portion. Really, John, if you can't make the session tomorrow, it's the same thing. just say add an email template, and you can create a template just like I showed you here by clicking edit email body. And then you're able to pull those in as necessary, whether you're sending broadcasts or email the campaigns, emails within a campaign or otherwise. Neil asks, can you insert video or do you have to use YouTube to insert it in the email? Neil, if you do want to post something outside of YouTube, then you'll just have to go through a couple extra steps there, Neil. Number one, the clarification I want to make is you cannot just embed a video in an email. Email clients just don't support that at this point. At least there's not a standard out for it. I believe they're working on a standard for that for HTML5. But things like Outlook are very behind as far as those standards go. And so it wouldn't play within Outlook. So what I would recommend that you always do, Neil, on that is place in a picture, perhaps a thumbnail of your image. So just using that image snippet that I was showing you guys earlier, and then link the image to a page where you have that hosted. So for example, insert an image, choose that image and go find a video. I think I've got me teaching here. I recommend you make sure you've got that play button on there as well, because that serves as a subtle call to action. They know that they're supposed to interact with that. And then once I've done that, I would link that video to a landing page where I have the video playing. Does that help there, Neil? No embedding of the videos, but you can link out to it. Perfect. Celeste said, okay, so we may not want to use names for content that's meant to be shared. Celeste, that's up to you. That's your choice there. If I click through on a link that one of my friends posted, I know it was my friend that posted it, so I won't be surprised when I see their name. I wouldn't encourage people to share something that includes private information, but you could, I wouldn't be too worried about it including their name there. Sonny, yes. Sonny, you're correct on your question there. I'll teach more about the templates portion tomorrow when I'm teaching creating email templates. So I'll get deeper into that. Let's see, a couple other questions here. John has a final one. When we use the Infusionsoft footer, is it similar to an affiliate link so we get credit for the leader's sale? John's question here is referencing back to the branding center. There's an option here that says Infusionsoft footer. And down here it asks my Infusionsoft referral partner code. Yes, John, if you've signed up with us as a referral partner, then yes, I believe that would then credit that to you. Otherwise, I don't know that you would get any credit for that. So if you want to turn that off in your emails, you can do so. Allow Infusionsoft footer in emails. By default, it's on. You can turn it off. John, if you want to know more about our partner programs, you can go to infusionsoft.com/partners, and you can learn about the different ways to partner with us. Right there. And that should do it for you. Let's see. I don't think I have any other questions here at this point. Oh, sorry, Josh. I jumped over yours. Josh said, how do we send the email? Josh, right now, my focus here has been on how to create different materials using the drag and drop builder. Really, I get deeper into how to send the emails tomorrow when I focus on creating email templates. But just to give you a quick preview, if you're using campaigns, which are going to be your automated email sending, then you're able to create a campaign. Let me go right here. You're able to create a campaign, and within that campaign, you can pull in one of those particular emails. So if I pull in an email right here, I can then go in and customize that email. This is the one that we just created. Okay, so this is the default text that I could start from. If I set this up, somebody can then start receiving those emails based on a web form, and I teach you about that in my my campaign builder session. The other spot where you'll send stuff, and I cover this more in depth tomorrow, is if you just need to send out a broadcast email. Say, for example, you need to send out a weekly update or your newsletter, for example, what I sent out this morning. You would be able to go here to your broadcast option and say, I want to send an email broadcast. And I'm going to start from scratch. I don't want to save what I was doing before. I can choose who I want it to be sent to, my recipients. And then I can choose which email I want to send. And by default, it pulls in what I have created there in my branding center. So I could go in and customize this and then simply go to the next page and send it. So Josh, that's where we start to get to with actually sending the email. It really depends on how we want it triggered. Do we want to send that email manually out to everybody, or are we going to create an automated campaign? Okay, awesome. That brings me to the end of my questions here. So I appreciate y'all being here with me today. I look forward to having more of you on the session there tomorrow morning. That will start at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, and I will be covering 3 different types of email templates that I recommend that you create. One for basic emails. It's going to be a repeat of the one that I just walked through here today, your campaign email template. One for broadcasts and one for your single emails, what I like to call a personal correspondence email template. So I will walk through those 3 as well as how to send an email broadcast. So that's what we're covering tomorrow. If you do have any questions on that, or if like Amy here, you can't make the call tomorrow, I will post up the recording just as I will today's recording. You can access that one of 2 ways. You can simply click through tomorrow on this link that I include in the email every week. Prior classes, click here to access. If you click there, it will take you to the page where I post up all those recordings, and then you can simply click through to download those recordings. Otherwise, you can keep an eye on my Twitter page here, and as soon as I have one ready to post, as soon as it's posted, I will announce it here on Twitter, and so then you know where it's at. Then you know when it's available. Susan, go ahead and drop me an email. I know you had some questions on another topic there that we needed to dig into. I think it was LinkedIn. I'll send you out a link on that particular one. If anybody else wants that one, go ahead and send me a message there on Twitter, and I will post that one out to you guys. So again, thanks so much for being here. Hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon, and I look forward to seeing you on the call again tomorrow. Take care. Bye.